Hey there, fellow real estate enthusiasts. Colette here, your go-to gal for all things first-time buyers need to know in fabulous Las Vegas. Now, I know you're used to seeing me help newbies navigate the exciting world of home buying, but today I've got a special treat for you. We're diving into the topic, well, that's a bit, shall we say, more complex? That's right, we're talking about listing houses for sale in the midst of a divorce. And who better to guide us through this maze of legalities, emotions, and tangled property ownership than our very own master of divorce real estate, Jim Dague.
Thank you.
Now, before we jump into the juicy details, let me give you a little background on Jim. This guy, he's not just an average real estate broker. Oh no, he's a bona fide legend in Las Vegas real estate game. With a whopping 45 years of experience, Jim's seen it all, literally. He's owned multiple firms, including a property management company. He's brokered thousands of transactions from sprawling multifamily units to cozy condos. And get this, folks, he's even dabbled in syndicated and land deals. Talk about a real estate renaissance man. But wait, there's more. Not only is Jim a real estate mogul, he's also a master educator. He's graced the faculties of both Las Vegas realtors and Key Realty School, sharing his wealth of knowledge with eager minds in not just one, but 14 states across the country. Now, if that doesn't impress you, I don't know what will. And let's not forget about his personal life. Jim's not just a real estate whiz, he's a devoted family man, a proud father of three, and a doting grandpa to 5 adorable grandchildren. Oh, and did I mention he's not one, but has 2 black belts? Yeah, he's basically a real estate ninja. So there you have it, folks. Our very own Jim Dague, the master of divorce real estate sales. With his wealth of experience, sharp wit, and unbelievable experience, there's no better person equipped to guide us through the top 5 mistakes realtors make when listing a house for sale when the owners are going through a divorce. So get ready, because this is going to be one heck of a ride. So, Jim, how do you get your name off the mortgage when going through a divorce? And how do you decide who gets the house?
So, Colette, there are 3 options if you're trying to keep the house.
All right.
I have to tell you that in most cases, the house cannot be kept and you need to find a real estate professional that can help you with the sale.
All right.
But the 3 ways to keep the house, number 1, a third of the houses in Clark County are free and clear. So they may not have to deal with this whole loan process at all. But how do they buy out their spouse if it's free and clear? So they're going to have to talk to a lender. So probably have to have a real estate professional, probably have to have a lender. You're going to need a lender. Option number 1 is to assume the existing loan. Now, I have to tell you, 73% of loans are conventional, which are not assumable. 9 times out of 10. Very rare for a conventional to be assumable. Even if it is assumable, you have to qualify, which means debt to income ratio, credit score, proof of income, all the requirements for that. 73% of loans are conventional. 13% are FHA. Now, if you have an FHA loan, you kind of hit the jackpot, because those are assumable at their current interest rate. You still have to have a 580 credit score, and you still have to have a debt to income ratio. If you have 4 car payments and 3 alimony payments, you're probably not going to qualify to assume a loan. But again, this is where the lender comes in, because they can take your credit report, they can take your financial information, and they can figure out. And this is really important because later on, you're going to need all this information anyway. The third option, which is kind of a novelty, is what they call a reverse mortgage. If you're over 62, this only works if you're over 62, but you can refinance the house and have no house payments. So you can buy out and you can even get cash out on this. So you get enough cash out to pay your partner off, and you have no payments. The debt doesn't go away, it just accrues. So your balance goes up a little bit each month instead of making payments. But now, people's financial situation is really improved if they can get a reverse mortgage.
Great.
The lender would be the one to tell you that. So if you need help selling the house, you need a great real estate agent. If you need help refinancing the house or trying to buy out your partner, you got to talk to a good lender.
Okay, so Jimmy knows how you're going to get out of that house and get your name off of the note and put the other person in there. Sounds like great. Okay, Jim, how does a realtor stay neutral when the parties are in different phases and emotions?
Well, let's talk about phases and pacing the transaction, because Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came up with a thing called the 5 stages of grief. And when you're ending a relationship or starting a new business and then ending that business, anything you're ending, you're going to go through 5 stages of grief. So I almost have to be like realtor counselors. But the first stage is denial, and then anger. People get angry. First, they deny this is not really happening. Then there's anger. Then there's a thing called bargaining. Oh, what if I can just make this work? So there's bargaining, and then depression and acceptance are the final 2 phases. And the reason this is important is because there's no time frame for these phases. They don't even always happen in the same order. But you and I are getting a divorce, and I'm in denial. I'm on phase 1, and you're in acceptance. You're already ready to move down the road. You're moving on with your life, and I'm stuck.
Yes.
So this creates a challenge when the couple are in different phases. That pacing is a really important piece. And sometimes people will actually sabotage the deal on purpose because of the pacing.
Wow.
I'm not ready to move on. You're ready to go, and I'm holding things up.
Wow. So you got to be an expert and a little bit of psychology there, I think. Sounds like to me. Now let's get to the juicy details. What are the shenanigans people play during a divorce?
Well, as I've said, if one party is trying to hold things up, they may just be totally unresponsive. Their attorney can call them, your attorney can call them, you can call them, the lender can call them. If they can't get information, they can't move this whole ball down the field. But if they're unresponsive, if they're ghosting everyone, that stops the whole process from their perspective. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but just being unresponsive, just being ghosting things. But the second thing that you really have to be careful about is the parties, sometimes one party or the other will start hiding assets.
Oh.
And that's a shenanigan.
Yes.
And in fact, there's a study by Experian that says 54% of divorcees report a decline in their credit score. And in half of those, the ex-spouse intentionally damaged their credit.
Wow.
They didn't make the payments on purpose. Now the one that's trying to get a loan to get them bought out can't get the loan.
Wow.
So that's shenanigans.
That is shenanigans, and that's really upsetting. Question number 4. What should a person do prior to mediation with the lawyers?
Well, the biggest thing is to just get ready. When you go see the lawyers, they may know the law, but they don't know what situation you're under. And you want to go to a lender first and get pre-approved so that you know when you go in there, if you have to buy out your ex, you can do that. And that includes not just getting pre-qualified, but also getting a property title report. Are there any liens that are going to come up at the last minute and say, whether it's doctor's liens or a boat or any other type of lien, you got to pay all those off when you refinance the house. So the liens, that lien report's very important. The second thing is get your credit report and order the loan payoff. If the loan payoff is what you think it is, then you're in good shape. But sometimes if the payments haven't been made, now the loan payoff is more money and you go into refinance and you come up short, and that would not be good.
Not good. Also, like it sounds to me like if you know if the loan's in default or there's some liens against it, you might want to just sell the house instead of trying to stay in it.
Yeah, sometimes that's the decision that both parties make. Let's just completely be done with this. But if there's children involved or maybe parents that are living in the house with you and you really don't want to sell the house, if you want to keep the house, you need to gird up or arm up. It's like a battle of not swords, but what'd you say?
Paper?
Paper. It's a paper battle.
Okay. Question number 5 for you. What's the difference between an interested party and a person who is on the deed and the loan?
Well, first, let's take a look at it from a real estate professional's angle. The fiduciary duty you have is to the person on the deed. But there are 9 community property states, and we're one of them. So any assets acquired after the marriage are community property. Even if you bought them with your money from before the marriage, we're married now. If I want to sign off, the lawyers are going to want a quitclaim deed or a spousal deed so you can keep your share, whatever it is. If we can make a resolution, then the lawyers just basically write it up. But if it's contested, if it's really an acrimonious divorce, there's going to be some things that are going to come into play as far as protecting your assets. But again, I think the biggest thing is, can you reach an agreement? And are there other people in the house besides the divorcing couple? If there's in-laws there or parents there, these multi-gen houses, they'll present a special issue. And if the kids are not even close to being out of the house, where are they going to stay?
Where are they going to stay? So your fiduciary duty is to the person on the deed, but you also have a duty to the spouse if they're not on the deed, just because
they're actually a party. If the spouse has made any payments from the other spouse's money, now they have a claim on the property. And that's where the word quitclaim comes from, is that I'm you took my money to make the house payments and now you want the whole house. I'm going to make a claim on at least my share of the equity. So because it's a community property state, we automatically have an interest. I can show that you've been making payments out of my money, now I'm an interested party. I may not be on the deed and I may not be on the loan, but I'm an interested party.
So you got to have a fine line being the real estate agent, sounds like to me. So my last question is to who really decides when you can't decide in the process of community property and a divorce?
If you can't come to an agreement, the reality is the courts have the final decision. The courts have all the authority. If you're having a contested divorce and the judge decides one party or the other is not being forthright and not telling the whole story, the judge can just make a decision. The courts have all the power, not the divorcing couple. So when you file, you have to realize you're turning this over to a third party that may or may not understand the situation and may not side with you. I've had a really hard time getting a divorce lawyer recommendation from the friends of mine that have been divorced or that are going through a divorce now, and I'm divorced. So I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes the judge makes all the decisions.
Right. So it sounds like you really have to get your ducks in a row. And having a good real estate agent is really going to be someone on your side. Bottom line, you need to listen to the expert to avoid any pitfalls. And that's it for today's show.
Thank you for having me, Colette.
You're welcome. And however, there are links below for free guides on real estate issues that buyers and sellers need to know. If you learned anything from this video today, give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for great content and new videos coming to you every week. I'm Colette Smith with Love Las Vegas Realty, helping your transition, not just your transaction.